Last night, when word arrived of this power shift in Cuba, however temporary, many went into the streets of the Little Havana section of Miami and cheered.
Today, on the same street corner in Little Havana, the word was freedom, freedom.
Cuban culture, Cuban faces. But this is not Havana, it's Miami, the heart of a community in exile. Some here knew Fidel Castro in their youth.
Y para siempre.
They've heard he's ill. Around Miami's marinas and boatyards, there's growing speculation that as soon as Castro dies, the boats will be in the water heading for Cuba. When he dies, he will be mourned by millions of Cubans. But the exiles in America believe that his passing, when it comes, will mark at least the beginning of the end of an ordeal which has lasted almost half a century.
For Cubans desperate to leave their country and unable to do so legally, there is a new but dangerous route to enter the United States. It takes them through our neighbor to the south, Mexico, where ultimately, if they're successful, they can walk across the border.
This woman recently made the long and frightening trip from Cuba to the U.S. She says she met with Cuban transporters in this small town near Havana. From there, she was driven west, then walked for miles through dense underbrush to a desolate beach, where in the dark of night, she and 37 others boarded a speedboat bound for the Yucatan Peninsula.
Jose Padilla and 2 other South Florida men were found guilty of supporting terrorists overseas who waged holy war in Afghanistan, Bosnia, and elsewhere. Among key evidence, this application that prosecutors said Padilla filled out to attend an al-Qaeda training camp in Afghanistan. But defense lawyers claimed the 3 supplied only humanitarian aid.
Officials say the fraudulent billing of Medicare for equipment that's never delivered, fake medications, and phony doctor bills is simply out of control. An estimated $60 billion a year pilferage of America's health care safety net for the elderly and disabled. Until his arrest, this man ran a multi-million-dollar Medicare fraud. He says in Spanish the theft is so widespread and easy that for every crooked company shut down, 10 more spring up.
All along these streets are groups of young Latino men waiting for employers to drive by and offer them work. And what kind of work are you looking for today?
Normally planting, working in nurseries or anything in the fields.
How much do you earn usually in one day here?
Normally within $30 and $40 a day. I keep 20% and 80% I send back, mostly for the debt I owe. We have to pay the coyotes who smuggle us here.
You've probably never heard of the Kalinago tribe, but they have been living for the last 6 centuries on the Caribbean island of Dominica. They have survived colonization, disease, and slavery, but now the tribe's 3,000 remaining members fear extinction. And to combat the prospect, the Kalinago's chief has decided on very drastic action. He's calling on his tribe to only marry each other.
These are the Kalinago, or Carib people of Dominica, singing ancient songs from their ancestors past. There are around 3,000 in Dominica, but to some, their very survival is now in question.
Tonight on World Report, Cuba at a crossroads. As the Obama administration loosens travel restrictions and a massive concert for peace happens in Havana.
It's just the beginning. First, the song, maybe next thing the embargo, next thing freedom. Who knows? It's a beginning. It's better than hatred.
Is the tide finally turning in U.S.-Cuban relations? Tonight on World Report, tens of thousands of innocent people murdered. But what happened to their children? That's what these women want to know.
There's a very serious crime here, a crime against humanity. Child abduction has always been a crime, but when it takes place under a dictatorship, it's unprecedented.
A new law's been passed to help reunite families, but is the law now being used as a political weapon?
es ancho y ajeno, dice Ciro Alegría. Yo dije, el mundo es ancho y mío.
This is the story of La Gata, a showgirl, a world traveler, an orphan, and a single woman. Her most beautiful secret is the tango, with which she preserves the collective memory of her Argentine compatriots.
Cada uno tiene un retazo de vida en los tangos.
Her experiences are helping a new generation of immigrants to follow their dreams, in spite of the difficulties.
Que sean perseverantes, porque es muy difícil, muy difícil. Y yo triunfé una vez allá en España, triunfé en otros lados, pero viste cómo me caí también, así que eso nos puede pasar a todos.
The good thing about cats is that they always land on their feet.